kids, welcome back to Mrs. Calabrese's Poetry Corner. Last week we talked a lot about metaphors and similes. And metaphors and similes are part of figurative language. Figurative language is what we use to help create that imagery in poetry. So if you remember, last week, a metaphor is a really strong comparison. It's saying that one thing is like this other thing. So for example, this room is an oven. It's not really an oven, but it's a metaphor. A simile is a comparison using like or as. So if I said this room is as hot as an oven, it's not as powerful as saying this room is an oven. So metaphors and similes are part of figurative language. We've also talked previously about alliteration. Alliteration is that repeating same beginning sound. A lot of nursery rhymes use alliteration. Tongue twisters use alliteration. So for example, 7 snakes slithered. It's that s throughout the whole sentence. Another device of figurative language is onomatopoeia. Go ahead, say it. It has a lot of syllables. Pop, boom, fizz. Those are all of those sound words. I always think about when I was a little kid, the Batman comics was a live action like TV show, and they would always during the action scenes like throw up on the screen onomatopoeia, boom, bam, pow. So those are sound words. They show a lot of action, and because you can't hear it in a poem, but you can say it in a poem. The last two parts of figurative language that we're going to talk about today. The first one is a hyperbole, and the second one is personification. So hyperbole is kind of a weird word to pronounce. A lot of people want to say hyperbole. It is not a hyperbole. It's a hyperbole. Okay? So say that 3 times. Hyperbole, hyperbole, hyperbole. A hyperbole is an extreme exaggeration. It's kind of those ridiculous words that we use when we're being very dramatic to send our point across to somebody, how we, an exaggerated way we feel. So the one most often used is, I'm so hungry, I could eat a horse. I'm sure you've all heard that one. They're so ridiculously extreme, so they always kind of jump out at you. I'd like you to look at this poem called Time Out. This poem has 3 hyperboles in it, and I'm wondering if you could find them. I'm going to read the poem once, and then the second time I read it, I'll maybe pause and give you a clue as to where the hyperboles are. But anyway, I think you'll like this poem. Time out. All by myself, alone in a room. My mom put me in time out. So lonely, it's been 10,000 years. So lonely, no one remembers me at all. So lonely, my whole world is just this room. Oh wait, my 5 minutes are up. Goodbye, I'm going out to play. Okay, so 3 hyperboles. Where do you think they are? Let's read it one more time. Time out. All by myself, alone in a room. My mom put me in time out. So lonely, it's been 10,000 years. Wait, you can't stay in your room for 10,000 years, right? That is an extreme exaggeration. So this is one of the hyperboles. So lonely, no one remembers me at all. How could nobody not remember you? Like, that's ridiculous. Of course your mom remembers you. Your dad remembers you. So, again, another hyperbole. So lonely, my whole world is just this room. Can your whole world be just one room? No. So again, extreme exaggeration, hyperbole. And I love that in this poem, the so lonely, so lonely, so lonely, those repeating lines are the 3 hyperboles. Oh wait, my 5 minutes are up. Goodbye, I'm going out to play. No more hyperboles. The other figurative language device that poets often use is personification. That's when you give human characteristics to an object or an animal. And the example I had given was the tree danced in the wind. Trees aren't human. They cannot behave like a human. But this poet decided, I'm going to make this tree behave like a human so that humans will relate to how it's behaving. Does that make sense? So really the tree's blowing in the wind, but it looks like it's dancing in the wind. There are 2 types of poems. They're really, really great at great devices to use personification. They're called formula poems. They can be hard to write or they can be really easy to write. It just depends on how much you practice them. When you first sit down to write a haiku, it's hard, but then you almost get addicted to it and you'll want to write more. So come this way. A haiku is a Japanese non-rhyming poem with 3 lines. So they're super short and super easy to write, but you just got to give yourself time to practice. Each line has a set number of syllables. So the first line always has 5 syllables, line 2, 7, line 3, 5. So if you think of 5, 7, 5, like a sandwich, 5 is the bread, 7 is the meat, and 5 is the bottom piece of bread, okay? And this poem, Autumn Leaf, I'm gonna show you that pattern, the 5, 7, 5. And something else about haikus and tankas, they are often written about nature. So if personification is giving human characteristics to an object or animal, speaking of animals, come here, George. You're gonna have to help me teach. Okay. So 5, 7, 5. Let's make sure that the first line of Autumn Leaf is 5 syllables. So it is autumn time. It is autumn time. 5. A leaf no longer green falls. A leaf no longer green falls. That was 7. I'd show you with my other hand, but I got George. Softly kissing earth. Softly kissing earth. 5. So it follows that pattern. So this really, truly is a haiku. But where's the personification in this poem? Is it autumn? It is autumn time? Is that giving autumn a human characteristic? No. A leaf no longer green falls? Well, leaves fall, so that's not giving it a human characteristic. What about this third line? Softly kissing earth. Leaves don't have lips. They can't kiss. Georgie's got lips. He can kiss. So there's your example of personification. It's in the very last line. The next type of Japanese poem is a tanka. A tanka is very, very similar to a haiku, but it has 2 more additional lines. And it follows this pattern, 5, 7, 5, 7, 7. So it's like that sandwich, but ooh, it's got a couple of extra layers in there. So let's read Ice Daggers. Again, you notice the theme. It's often about nature. The Japanese love to write about nature. So Ice Daggers is the name of the poem. Crystal ice daggers glisten in the winter trees, bending its branches. Cold swirling wind gusts and blows. Tree drops its weapons on me. Okay, so let's listen for the 5-7-5-7-7. Crystal ice daggers, that's 5. Glisten in the winter trees, that's 7. Bending its branches, 5. Cold swirling wind gusts and blows, 7. Tree drops its weapons on me, 7. Okay, it's definitely a tanka. It follows the pattern. So where's the personification? Crystal ice daggers? Is that having ice behave like human? No. Glisten in the winter trees. No, that's really just talking about, the ice shining. Bending its branches. Well, do trees bend? That's a little bit of personification, isn't it? Trees can't bend. I mean, their branches maybe can bend in the wind, but so I would say that's personification. Cold swirling wind gusts and blows. That wind does that anyway. That has nothing to do with being human. Tree drops its weapons on me. Wait, trees don't carry weapons. And how could they drop a weapon on you? So that's a human behavior, a human characteristic. So the poet here is pretending or giving the example of icicles falling from a tree is almost like a human throwing their weapons down at you, right? Pretty cool, huh? So this week, your assignment is going to be to write a haiku and a tanka. Give it a try. Don't get upset if you're struggling the first time. You'll get it, and then you're going to become addicted to it. You're going to keep like, I bet I can do another one. I bet I can do another one. And I believe in you. I bet you can do one of each or more than one of each. Good luck, guys.